Today is a really fun video. I just get to talk about being pregnant a little bit. I will share some from each trimester. I'm about to enter into my second, so I won't share too much about this first trimester until that video, but just sharing, getting to tell people that we are pregnant is so much fun, and I love getting to share the backstory behind it as well. Okay, so some of the backstory. We decided, I don't know how old Rose was, but she wasn't very old when we decided we felt like we were ready to add to our family. Now, I will say, my husband and I both view it very differently. So when I say we decide, he got to the point where he felt like he would be okay if we were to get pregnant. I was to the point where I'm like, I'd love to be pregnant again and have another kid. But the difference, and it was kind of like this with our first kid too, is I was expecting it every month. He was not. He was just like, oh, it's in the Lord's hands. We weren't like hardcore trying. I wasn't tracking ovulation. I wasn't doing anything like that to try to like pinpoint the day or the days, whatever it may be. But it was just all free for all, whatever you want to call it. And it is very possible that when you're not using protection that you can get pregnant. And so I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to get pregnant. And my husband just didn't think anything about it. While he said yes, he was still a little bit more like, but we could wait. And while I was yes, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. And it took us 9 months. Yes, it took us 9 months to get pregnant with this baby, and with Rosie, it took us 5 months. So it took us a little bit longer this time to get pregnant, and anytime I think you are trying to get pregnant or know that it's in the possibility now, it's so hard not to think about it every single month. But by the grace of God, and I really wanted to give it to him this pregnancy and just say, okay, Lord, like, this truly is in your hands. If we don't get pregnant this month, next month, the next, whatever it may be, like, it's fine, Lord. I want to trust in you, and I don't want to stress about trying to make my will happen now. And like I said earlier, Rosie was not very old. And so if somehow we were to have gotten pregnant the first month, we decided that we would be okay with another kid, Rosie would have only been 1 year and 5 months. Crazy. Like, I totally believe I could have done it. I totally believe other moms could kill it. But Rosie, at 1 year and 5 months, we were still getting the hang of things. Like, honestly, Rosie's whole journey, like my first kid, my first daughter, the first year, it took the whole first year to really feel like I got a grip on anything. We just had a lot of struggles, and she's very strong-willed. And then I would say at 16 months is where just everything, or 16, sorry, not 16, 18 months, 1.5 years. So 15 months is 1 year and 3 months, but at 1.5 years is when I just feel like I can breathe in motherhood again. Things have gotten so much easier. So if we would have had a kid when we said we were ready, Rosie would have still been in the getting easier stage, but not completely out of it yet, still struggling here and there, still not completely sleeping through the night, still giving her bottles in the night, stuff like that. And so I do laugh and kind of think like, man, what were we thinking? Because Rosie would have been so young. But also, and I don't want to say like, oh, I understand why God had us wait, because we could have had a kid then and it would have been fine. We could have not been pregnant yet and it would have been fine too. But parts of me is like, okay, it probably was a good thing that we waited, or not that we waited, but that God did not give us this baby in my belly until a little bit longer. So anyways, going back to just kind of the months of every month, I still thought like, am I pregnant? Am I pregnant? I don't think I took a pregnancy test every month, but I probably took like 3 out of 4 times I took a pregnancy test instead of just waiting like any normal person would. Just because like when you're expecting something, you're like, it could be this month, it could be next, like you just don't know. And even though I was giving it to the Lord or trying my best to give it all to him, that it was still in my head. And there are definitely points of the journey where I was just kind of like started feeling like, oh man, like another month, of not doing it. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel like if it's been 6 months and we still don't have a baby. And of course, little creeping in thoughts of like, what if something is wrong? 7 months, 8 months, like, and at 9 months, I definitely didn't think I was pregnant, but it was Christmas and I was like, this would be the perfect Christmas gift. And so I'm gonna test a little bit early. I think I tested like 4 days before my missed period, 4 or 5 days. And I'll go into that story now. But when I tested for that, the first test I took, it was with Rosie on my hip. Here we go. This is going real good. No, stop. Okay, let's see what it says so I can. I can't tell. The line is very, very faint. It's possible, but I'm not really sure yet. In that first test I took, I saw a very, very faint second line. The second line meant you were pregnant, one line meant not pregnant. And it was so faint, I was like, I don't trust that to think that I'm pregnant. My radar is up a little bit, but I didn't really get excited or like, because I hate getting let down and I don't want to think I'm pregnant and not be pregnant. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do anything with this test, but I did have another test and I was like, maybe I will wait a little bit longer. And so I think I took it in the morning and I had to go to Walmart later that day. And so later that day in the Walmart restroom, I took my second test and that test showed the second line as well, faint, but it was there. And that's when it started to really be like, oh, okay, well, this is 2 tests now that have 2 lines. And that's like throughout Walmart, if you would have had someone like recording me, I might have a small clip from it, but I was like all embarrassed because I wanted anyone to see me recording myself in Walmart. But I was tearing up all throughout that Walmart trip because I was like, I think I'm pregnant. I think I might have a baby in me. And then I got home and I had 2 literally from before Rosie was before I was pregnant with Rosie. And so I had these cheap little tests that came with an ovulation kit for when we were trying with Rosie. And so it was 2 years old, over 2 years old, maybe somewhere around there. Yeah, over 2 years old, for sure over 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. And they were just these cheap little tests that you, whatever, I won't give the details. But those, like when I took with Rosie, I knew like, okay, if this shows the 2 lines, it's for sure, because it's not one of the fancy tests that like test to 3 days before your period, test to 5 days before your missed period. And I did those 2. And those 2 were the ones where I was like, I am pregnant. Like, I'm like 90% sure that I am pregnant. And that's when it really kicked in. Here, you can see like it fully has kicked in now. Like, I am actually pregnant. I was just so thankful, so excited. It was Christmas. I'd be able to tell Blake, all of that. And so I had one more like fancy pregnancy test, and that one either said yes or no. That wasn't lines at all. It was like yes or no. And I was like, I will take this in the morning just to like 100% guarantee. And if it says yes, I'll put it in a Christmas gift, give it to Blake. Now, we celebrated Christmas probably like a week earlier, so but that's when we did Christmas, which is why I wanted to test. And so when I woke up that morning, I got up before he did, and I went and I took the test. And praise the Lord, y'all. I'm just incredibly grateful, incredibly grateful. Part of me thought this was gonna say no. I'm still in shock. I have a baby in my belly. It said yes, and I put that in, I wrapped it, and then I put it at the very bottom of his stocking, so it'd be the last gift that he opened. You smile, Rosie?
Whoa.
We're pregnant.
Wow.
Rosie, you're gonna be a big sister.
That's great.
You're gonna be a big
Oh,
sister.
Wow.
Yeah. A little sipping in mommy's belly. As you can see, I was trying to record the whole time during our Christmas, so it didn't seem like off, but Blake was very surprised by being pregnant. Like I said, it took 9 months, and so I think he had almost just kind of gotten used to like he just wasn't expecting it like I was. Like, he was ready, but he wasn't like anxious to get pregnant again, and he's just very trusting of the Lord too. Like, whatever the Lord allows it, he's gonna allow it, and he would tell me that. Because it was Christmas, we are getting to see all of our family, and I was like, we are literally 4 weeks pregnant by the time we'd see family. We had a few more days until we'd see them, but I was like, you know what? Like, if we were to have a miscarriage, there's good chances of that, just based off of stats, but I would still want like our close family to know. Like, I wouldn't keep that a secret from them. I'd still share. So I think we should go ahead and tell our close family that we are pregnant since it's Christmas and it's the perfect time.